Okay, greetings fellow Kerbonauts, welcome to Kerbal Space Program. My name is Rice, and this is the Duna Ion Glider Challenge. So, back in the good old days in Kerbal Space Program Beta, we used to have some pretty snazzy ion engines that allowed us the capability to build some pretty good ion gliders. And these gliders not only worked on Duna, but they also worked on other planets to include, well, the Kerbal system. However, ever since the game got updated to version 1.0.2, the assumption is that ion engines were nerfed to a point where, well, they don't really work on ion gliders anymore. They work in space, and that's what they were designed to do. However, we've lost the ability, at least that's the assumption, to use them onto aircraft. However, that's only partially true, and that's what we're going to go ahead and take a look at today and see whether or not ion engines can still propel aircraft. Now, first off, we're going to go ahead and pull up Kerbal Engineering, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the statistics of the ion engine, and we're going to see how well it performs both on Kerbal. And after we confirm that, we're going to go ahead and send our ion glider over to Duna and see if we can make ion gliders still work on Duna. However, spoiler alert, ion gliders do still work on Duna. Okay, let's go ahead and open up a save file or two. Okay, so if we load up an ion glider that I put together, let's load up, say, one of these smaller ion gliders here. And I've been fiddling around with a couple designs to see which one is best optimized for flight. Now, here is a really small ion glider. Its weight looks like 0.9 tons. Okay, so this ion glider, let's go ahead and take a look at its Kerbal Engineering statistics. Now, beforehand, ion engines used to be able to work in the atmosphere of Kerbal, and they used to work really, really well. But if we look at the engines, as they are now, as you can see, the ASL, or atmospheric efficiency, of the ion engines in Kerbal atmosphere is 0.048. That is not a whole lot of thrust. However, the assumption is that, well, if this doesn't work all that well in atmosphere, then they must be terrible for aircraft. And, well, you would be half right to assume that. However, the other part of the equation is you got to take into consideration other planets and how these ion engines would work in the atmosphere of other planets. And of course, there's pretty much only two other celestial bodies with atmospheres that we can readily use for flying and for landing, with the exception of Joule, which of course would be Duna, and also would be Lathe. So 0.048, not a whole lot of thrust. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and put this onto the runway, and you can see for yourself how inefficient this engine is. Okay, so here we are, and engine on, and look at it go. There's about 0.04 of a kilonewton of thrust propelling this little vehicle forward. Not a whole lot of efficiency here, not a whole lot of push for your bang here. So not really all that efficient a vehicle, right? Let's go and head back over to the spaceplane hangar, and let's go and take a look at some stats. Okay, so if we were to look at this ion glider here and check Kerbal Engineering and look at Kerbal, as you can see, the thrust to weight ratio is 0.01, so 1/100th. Pretty bad stuff. Delta V is 82 meters per second for a total burn of 24 minutes. However, and this is something that can really discourage people sometimes, especially when they try to relive the glory days of building ion gliders. But if we take a look back at Duna, let's head on over to Duna here. As you can see, those numbers really flip around. As you can see, the thrust to weight ratio is now 0.62, right? Max 0.67. and the delta V just skyrockets, right? You saw that before. It was what, 82 meters per second. Now it's over 2,000 meters per second. So as you can see, just Duna, switching over to Duna alone, and this is atmospherics, by the way, on 0 altitude. If we were to increase the altitude, you can see the thrust to weight ratio starts to increase a little bit. So does the delta V. But we're talking about worst case scenario on Duna sea level here. So the thrust to weight ratio is actually really favorable. And believe it or not, you can actually glide something on a thrust to weight ratio of 0.62. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to take a glider that's a little bit larger. Now we're going to take this guy over to Duna. Now as you can see, the thrust to weight ratio is a tad bit smaller, right? 0.46. And what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to throw this into the Duna atmosphere. We're going to try to land this vehicle, and we're going to try to take off again using one single ion engine. All right, sounds pretty crazy, wackadoodle at first, right? But actually, I believe that this could work. Back in the good old days of Kerbal Space Program in the earlier versions, this absolutely worked. So we're gonna give this one a go, and we're gonna try to send this one to Duna. Let's take a look at some other statistics here. So this vehicle is 1.2 tons. Now, another interesting curiosity about the Kerbal Space Program update to version 1.0 is they increase the amount of electricity these engines consume. Look at 8.74. So this thing just guzzles electricity. Believe it or not, all these little solar panels that I have on this craft is still not enough to quench the hunger of this ion engine. So we're still going to have that power drain. This vehicle itself has 400 units of electrical charge, and that should be enough to get this vehicle to take off, hopefully on Duna. And even if the electrical charge runs out, we still have the residual charge coming in from these solar panels to hopefully keep powering that ion engine. Okay, here we go. Let's go and head on out, and let's head on to the VAB, and let's go ahead and launch this sucker, shall we? Okay, here we are in the VAB, and let's go ahead and load up our ion glider launcher. Here we are. Okay, so now we got our lift vehicle set up, ready to go. Look at this monstrosity, my goodness. This is probably overkill for us launching a 1.2 ton aircraft. We're using 2.5 meter parts with a 3.75 meter fairing. Now what's interesting about the fairings here is it doesn't make your vehicle all that aerodynamic, believe it or not, because of this pancake design. It's something strange about aerodynamics in this game is that if you don't design, this is my assumption, however, I could be completely wrong, but based on my piddling experience playing around with these fairings, is that the more pancakey you make your fairings, the less aerodynamic it becomes, and the more the bigger chance that your rocket tends to flip over as a result of the inconsistencies in its aerodynamic design. Such is the case here with this vehicle, so I gotta be really careful when I launch this guy. Okay, let's head on over to the launch pad. Okay, and future me here. We're going to go ahead and skip this along at 5 times speed while we get this vehicle into orbit. We've all seen rocket launches before in Kerbal Space Program, so this is really nothing new. However, I'd like to take this time to say that, yes, we had some odd little audio issues that unfortunately I wasn't aware of at the time we were doing this live stream, and that the background music audio was a little bit loud. And I know that there are some moments when it can be a little tough to hear my voice over the music. Although overall, it seemed the music was a little bit subdued enough that there weren't too many complaints over to the people that were watching this Twitch. Once again, unfortunately, I wasn't too aware of it, but I'd like to thank you for for sticking around, audio issues and all. And as you saw, our first rocket launch wasn't doing so hot. We flipped on over due to the interesting aerodynamics of this new version of the game. But looks like this second launch managed to do well, so I'll go and head on back to Past Me. Okay. Curious thing about Separatrons is that Separatrons have this weird ability to heat up parts of your craft. You notice that this stage here has heat markers on them as a result of the Separatrons flaming out and adding their heat to these various parts here. Hopefully that won't be a problem. I'm pretty sure that should cool down over time. Okay, and beginning orbital insertion burn in 3, 2, 1, mark. Perfect. Keeping ourselves at 0 degrees towards the horizon. And looks like we are now in space. Okay, and approaching orbital speed of 2 kilometers here. Gonna dip ourselves to negative 10 degrees below the horizon. There we go. And we have a periapse. Perfect. Okay, we now have a stable orbit. F5 for safety. Next up, let's go ahead and let's extend our solar panels here. Okay. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and start plotting our trajectory. My gosh, these heat markers are just all over the place here. Okay, let's go ahead and let's make sure we got good electric charge. Good, good, good. Electric charge is good. Okay. Next up, let's go ahead and plot our trajectory to Duna. Almost there. Just moving along at 5% thrust here so that we can fine-tune our approach. Okay, get increased thrust. There we go. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, and we are looking pretty good. Let's go and head on out of here. Leaving Kerbal behind. Beautiful, and looks like the heat has pretty well dissipated from this module here, so we're looking pretty good. Here we are, and we're coming right up onto the planet here. All right, so now that we have entered the planet's we are deep into the planet's sphere of influence here. Let's go ahead and turn our craft over. As a matter of fact, let's turn us prograde. That way we can use our fairings here, the heat resistant capabilities of the fairings here, to slow us down. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Alright, so we should be hitting the atmosphere at roughly about 43 kilometers. What's interesting is other planets, a lot of the planets in this game that have atmospheres tend to have some pretty rounded atmospheric interfaces. For example, Kerbal, you enter the atmosphere at 70 kilometers. On Lathe, you enter the atmosphere, if I remember correctly, I think 40 kilometers, but here it's a very odd number, 43 kilometers and some change. Okay, let's go ahead and close up our solar panels. There we go, so we don't end up shearing them off while we do our aero capture. Okay, little Duna glider, this is all you. slowing ourselves. Well, we're still speeding up here. Even though we're in the atmosphere, we are still speeding along. Okay, I guess this is probably the silver lining to having a 3.75 meter pancake fairing that's not all that aerodynamic, as it can help you slow down your vehicle. Okay, now we're starting to slow down. Excellent. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. Oh, okay, our rear end is a lot heavier than the rest of the craft, so... Well then, okay, so our mushroom is going to be tumbling in backwards. Go figure. Okay, surface speed doesn't seem too bad, so I think our engine should be able to handle it just fine. Okay, what are we looking at here? Okay, well, I guess we're going to be entering the atmosphere. I guess we're here to stay then. Well, better late than never. Oh my goodness. Let's see if we can flip ourselves around though. This is not very desirable. I do not want to enter the atmosphere butt first. Ah, okay. You are not turning around. Alright, this isn't too good. Drogue shoots away. Okay, I was hoping to get into orbital insertion and then release the glider, but I guess that's not going to happen. We're gonna have to do this right now. Okay, speed is good. Releasing other parachutes. Okay, and then releasing arrow shell. Arrow shell deployed. We are upside down. Let's turn ourselves the right direction here. Okay, there we go. Okay, and let's flip ourselves around. Come on, turn it. Ah, gotta wobble us around here. I can't do this. Going backwards. There we go. Nice job. Alright. Not so nice job. Release. Release. Okay, lift our nose up. Okay, that was throttle up. Okay. Woo! Alright, catch you later there, debris. Okay, and look at this. Wouldn't you know it? Oh, look at that explosion. Wouldn't you know it? This vehicle is actually maintaining a stable flight. And we are still increasing speed, all on one ion engine. Not too shabby, eh? The danger is, though, this electrical charge is going down, but that's okay. This vehicle is designed to be able to maintain flight, even when its electrical charge is drained. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, now part of the reason why this ion glider works on Duna and doesn't work on Kerbal is, well, Duna has lighter gravity, and as a result of Duna having lighter gravity, this vehicle on Kerbal weighs 1.2 tons. However, this vehicle weighs 1/3 of that here in the Duna atmosphere. Also, Duna, with its scarce atmosphere, allows allows ion engines to work a lot more efficiently. As a matter of fact, let's go and check the kilonewtons of thrust here. See, we were maintaining 1.3 kilonewtons of thrust in Duna atmosphere. If we were in Kerbal atmosphere, we would have 4/100ths of that thrust. So not too shabby. Okay, now let's see if we can land this puppy here. So let's go ahead, turn off the engine, and let's see about landing. And we are really fortunate to land in noontime on Duna so that our engines can recharge. Our battery packs can recharge pretty quickly here. Okay, let me check to see if the... Okay, good, good, good. Let's go ahead and deploy our ailerons here to slow ourselves down. And let's go ahead and bring ourselves to a landing. Okay, so flaps are down, and we are slowly slowing down speed here. Looking really good. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, really. Have we built this glider in an earlier version of Kerbal Space Program? Not only would it have been able to fly in Kerbal atmosphere and in Duna atmosphere. Well, actually, it probably wouldn't have been able to fly in... actually, I think it would be able to fly in Kerbal atmosphere if we took advantage of the Infiniglide effect, the old aerodynamics model that Kerbal had in the older version of the game. But additionally, these engines would have been a lot more electricity efficient, such that these solar panels would have provided indefinite power to this ion engine. However, because this thing guzzles more electricity, these solar panels do not provide enough electricity to keep this engine running at full power. Alright, let's go ahead and land this puppy here. My goodness, so we've managed to, with flaps down, we managed to bring ourselves down to 37 meters per second, and we are still gliding, guys. Even with the lack of atmosphere on this planet, even with the less substantial atmosphere on this planet, we are still able to glide really well. And that's all thanks to the abbreviated gravity here on Duna. Okay, here we go, and let's go ahead and also we are really fortunate to be landing on relatively flat land here. Okay, let's get those flaps back up and running. Oh, okay, flaps are down. We are coming down nice and easy. Brakes on. Slow down, slow down. Slow down. Okay, here we go. Coming down nice and easy. Oh, we're about to reach a cliff here. Come on, brakes. You can do it. SAS off. Okay, we're going downhill. So we're not going to start slowing down until we reach relatively flat territory here. Okay. Come on. There we go. Okay, now we are slowing down. SAS off. Oh, we're coming back down again. Gotta watch those slopes. When I built gliders when I built ion gliders in the older versions of Kerbal Space Program, we had a lot of wiggle room with the old aerodynamic systems, such that we could build some pretty exotic looking craft. And one of the items that I always added onto my ion gliders was retro firing ion engines that allowed me to brake. However, here we've got to rely on good old-fashioned momentum and the friction of our brakes to slow us down here. and slowing down. Alright. Look at that! Beautiful! Nice, easy glide down. Let's go ahead and turn our craft. Okay, so we have our craft fully charged at 405 units of electrical charge. That should be, hopefully, enough charge to get us to fly again. Let's F5 for safety here. And SAS on, brakes are off, and engines on. Let's turn south this time. Okay, good. We're finally getting solar power flow to our engine here. Okay, we need to get ourselves past 41 meters per second. 40 meters, perfect. There we go. Looking beautiful. Just look at that. Woo! Okay. Okay, and speed is still increasing. That's good. We're going to use the charge off of the batteries to get ourselves as high as possible before that charge runs out and we start using the residual charge off the solar panels. Okay, let's get our altitude all the way up here. Because as soon as that electric charge runs out, we're gonna be relatively stuck at that altitude. Okay, 1.7 kilonewtons. Look at that. Gliding on just 1.7 kilonewtons of thrust. Okay, 64 meters per second. Okay, we used the residual battery power. Now we'll be gliding on all the power that we gain in real time from the solar panels here. So we should be able to maintain a positive altitude increase of roughly about 1 meter per second. There we go. Good, good, good. So even with these batteries drained, we are still increasing speed, and also we are still gaining altitude. So our kilonewtons are at 1.3, so we're looking really good here, guys. And also we're going south again. We need to go north. So let's risk turning ourselves around. Woo! Okay, here we go. Come on. Okay, I should have done this as a slow turn because now we're falling. And okay, there we go. All right, now we're slowly starting to gain speed again. Okay, we need to head right towards that basin. Perfect. Now we're going directly north. Okay, well, looks like we're looking pretty cool here. Let me go ahead and level us off just a tad bit. Perfect. Okay, we should be back up to... Yep, we're back at 1.3 kilonewtons of thrust here. And we should be back to gaining altitude in just a bit as soon as we get our surface speed up a little bit here. Okay, and we are leveled. Perfect! Now we're starting to gain altitude again. Woo! Okay, vertical speed is now at 1.2 meters per second. And we are on our way north. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and play around with this here some more. And as we have just proven that ion gliders do work in the new version of Kerbal Space Program, you just got to be careful which planet you choose, and you got to be careful in your designs now. Unfortunately, in the earlier versions, we could be a little more reckless with our ion glider designs. Here, though, you got to be real careful about thrust-to-weight limitations here, especially the aerodynamics, which is the reason why I put this cone on this plane here, too. Beforehand, I didn't have to worry about putting cones and aerodynamic-looking pieces, but now I do. Anyways, this has been the Ion Glider Challenge performed by yours truly, Rice at KSP Minimalist. Thank you again for watching, and we will see you next time. Woo!